My name is Cathy Downard, and I am a pulmonary hypertension patient. I was diagnosed with lupus when I was 17. And like most teenagers, I was pretty independent and I wanted to do everything. And so when I was passing out, because I played basketball and I didn't want anything to stop me from playing basketball or being in the school plays, I just didn't tell people. So I was diagnosed with lupus, and then after many years of being treated like I was a leper in the emergency room, when you go in with a problem and you're in pain or whatever, doctors a lot of times write you off if there's not something they can test for and see that there's something wrong with you. So I'd made up my mind I was not going to go to the emergency room no matter what. I got really sick in the August of 2013, and I'd had some strokes, I'd had some other things, but I was in the midst of this. I'm not going to the emergency room. And when I was sick, I was obviously running a fever, but I wasn't really making good decisions. It was about 100 degrees in Indiana. I had 2 pairs of pajamas on and 3 quilts and no air conditioning, and I was shivering in bed. And I just went to sleep. I got up in the middle of the night and had to go to the bathroom, and the point when I realized I had to go to the emergency room was when I had to crawl to the toilet. And then I was like, okay, I took this a little far. And so I called and I went to the emergency room, and they began to treat me for sepsis, which I had, but I had it, and I'm lucky that I did, because there's no way I would have went to the emergency room. And through that visit, they sent me to an Indianapolis hospital from my local hospital, because my oxygen saturation just kept plummeting no matter what they did. And they were about 24 hours from intubation. When I was finally told that's what I had, the doctor that told me said, well, we think you might have pulmonary hypertension. I didn't know what it was, but I already had lupus, so it didn't matter. And I was laying in an ICU bed, and I'm looking at him, and he said, don't worry, we're gonna try some pills. And if that doesn't work, we'll just try transplant. I was like, transplant what? So that's how I found out. So I did 2 oral medications for the first year. Over the course of that year, I kind of continued to get worse. I was in school to become a teacher, and so I was kind of traipsing across campus with oxygen tanks. And I finally went to the doctor and I said, I think things are getting worse. I don't know what we do from here. And they said, well, we've hired a PH specialist in the group, and I'm going to send you to him. At that point, they did another right heart cath with no sedation. People don't realize that the anesthesia affects your right heart cath. So I was at a 90 were my pressures in my lungs. And he said during the right heart catheterization, they decided that I was a candidate for Remodulin. And they put me on the Remodulin, and I was a different person. I have been ever since. I had IV at the time. I have had some problems with the medication. Lines continued to come out and become infected. I had 7 lines in 1 year, and so they decided to move me to sub-Q. I was pretty upset and cried, because everything online talks about how bad it hurts, and it does. It hurts, but I was able to start teaching this last year. I taught for a whole year, special education, 6th grade, and there is no way with having the lines that kept coming out and having to have those emergency trips to the hospital and a hospital stay of a couple nights that I would have been able to teach for a year. So it's providing me with purpose. I do suffer with some depression and anxiety from time to time, but I know myself. I know the depression's going to come, and I know that I'm going to rebound. When I get depressed, I try and think of some way that I can help someone else with PH or just someone in general. There have been times when the only healthy thing that I could do is from a hospital bed compliment the nurse or try and pick up my own tray or do something of that nature. I mentor our Junior National Honor Society, and they do 5 hours of community service a semester. So not only am I responsible for helping kids learn to read and helping kids learn things that they need to be able to get the rest of their education, I also can benefit other areas of the community and help them become citizens. And they need me. I come from a very poor school district. They need me to show up every day. They need me to correct them, even though they don't like it in the moment, to help them become adults. I am not a long-term survivor yet, but I will be. My name is Cathy Downard, and I am aware that I'm rare.